shot of the moon conjoined with Saturn. Saturn's like right to the left of it, right to the left, directly to the left of it. Is that chill? Yeah. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Hope y'all are doing excellently well today. What's up, Justin? What's up, Eat All Y'all Fish? What's up, Lost Brooklyn? What up, Ellie? Cough, cough, cactus. What's up, Dagger Spells? Yeah, right, the Area 51, Area 47, Area 42. What a major distraction. So I was going to start on Jupiter, but man, is the moon looking nice and sharp. Excellent libration views to the right of Mare Crisium, on 2 o'clock position, Marginis, Indarum, and that whole region, Mare Fecunditatis, with Langrenus crater around the 3 o'clock. What up, Corina, Elizondo, hearts to you, Ellie, all of y'all. Yeah, I wouldn't be storming any facilities, not in this day and age. It's so much more fun to get into space and to be out unknown, out of your mind, from home. I always think of that line from Moody Blues, the best way to travel is in your mind. What's that line exactly? Best way to travel? Yeah, Moody Blues, the best way to travel. Yeah, from Legend of the Mind. Yeah, that's the album. Alright. Yeah. Safer at home. Travel inside. What's up, Timothy Martin? How you doing? What's up, Easy E? Is it Easy E or Easy? Either way, I always remember it. Oh, is Rain Song there? I see. Ooh, what's up, man? I just saw you. How you doing? Long time. I really got to sit up straight for this show because, man, my back was killing me after last night. 3 hours sitting in this weird position trying to lean into this microphone. Just give me a note if I get too low on the mic, but I'm going to try and sit up properly. So great shot of the moon right here, and then let's see if I can just peek over to Saturn without having to move. Viewing on the Nexstar 8 tonight with the Sony A6 III. Awesome. Got it. Gotcha. So I'm slowly panning to the left. Let's see if we can catch up with Saturn. Look at that, amazing. I think that's probably the closest I've ever seen Saturn to the moon. Saturn, and then Moon, Saturn. Moon. Alright. Enough playing around. Let's get in here on Saturn for a second. Kronos. The old sun. Possibly. Just keep it open. Oh, it's all good, Ellie. Just like a crick in my shoulder, but work it out. Anyway, got this wide shot here of Saturn. Gonna record a little bit of footage. You can see Titan, Tethys, Rhea, Mimas, and that's kind of it, really. Obviously, Titan, top left corner, around the 10 o'clock position, the brightest. Rhea and Mimas to the bottom left. Camera's acting a little glitchy, but I just want to get Saturn and then Moon in frame one more time. I was just toying. Look at that. Right in the light of the moon. Insanity. Insanity. Let me know what y'all think of this view. It's a first for sure. Live stream on Area 51 Day so we can all watch the carnage together. I don't think it's going to happen. A lot of talk of it happening, but oh damn. So I had this little thing up in the top right corner. I was going to try and write down the name of the song as it's happening, but right now I'm just going to remove that because I'm focused on footage. Alright, so just getting a little bit of the moonlight, and then let's pan over to the left. It. There we go. Such a cool site. So within the plasma or electric universe, cosmology, kind of understanding right now would be that the light reflected off of Saturn and the energy radiating off of Saturn right now, coming through the dielectric medium to our eyes, to the camera, to Earth, is probably mixing somewhat with the moonlight being also reflected, radiation from the moon. And yeah, so it's really fascinating. Obviously, there's no real physical tie-in, just this complete conceptual theory. But it would make sense that these are the types of things where we kind of relate these to astrological events and kind of planets lining up and lunar phenomenon kind of affecting consciousness and human interaction, resonance. So this would be a particularly great moment to just demarcate. I'm doing it right now with the stream, but all of y'all are here too. Just make note of it in your lifetime as, you know, a moment when the moon and Saturn and obviously Jupiter, which I'll go to in a second, all are kind of mixing their Birkeland currents, so to speak, and sending that energy towards Earth right now. That's not to say that other planets aren't doing the same thing, but there's something to be said for proximity. Eat All Your Fish says, watched a cool video about how Saturn is the center of the matrix, and the 7 planets represent 7 levels of consciousness, 7 chakras, and we are stuck in these 7 levels of Saturn like a control grid. You know, it's probably fine to just dive off the deep end right away. But yeah, I've always had an issue with that kind of the way it's defined as somehow we're enslaved. You know, it was exciting and kind of interesting when first saw The Matrix, and even up until a few years back, like up until 5-6 years ago, it still seemed kind of exciting that there was this, somehow we're in a simulated program and we're going to wake up one day. And then the more you learn about these conspiracies, you realize that a lot of them are tied to planetary events and or celestial events of bygone days. You start to realize that, like, within the context of plasma cosmology's history, just for the past 100 years, these stories have been written by people who thought of the same sort of things. And then when you read about it, you realize that it could all be tied back to just watching celestial events unfold, and then writing narrative, you know, with new language or made-up language, trying to explain these events that are beyond us or that are larger than us. So I feel like things like concepts like the Matrix are kind of misnomers for prison systems where we have paranoia about the prison complex. But in fact, you know, there's always this metaphor about how we imprison ourselves with fear, or we imprison each other with suspicion or doubt, and it's one of these things where the concept of prison or imprisonment is really broad, and so that's why it's important to question, you know, what you think of what the word matrix means, and also numbers in triplicate, for example, have been made to seem very occult, and in a lot of cases they are, but numbers are also kind of limited, and they're not really like able to be reified. Reality is so much broader than just a number set. So things like 777 or like 444, which I always find in nature, are not really as, it's not that they're not important, it's just that they're not as necessarily, they don't mean exactly what I think they mean just yet, because they're really just patterns. It's like the same way as, say, like if one cloud looks like another, then it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy of electromagnetic forces to create nested fractals, but it's not a conspiracy to keep me enslaved, for example. So that's why I feel like these systems arise like within conspiracies about proper geometry, and then we sort of, because of fears and biases, you relate them to conspiracies. I think that was a roundabout way of saying it's sort of like, it's completely possible, but most likely it's something a lot more simple and more tangible. Especially that whole David Icke tangent. I talked about it the other night. He was talking about like the whole cube matrix and the black cube, and marching around the cube as the rings of Saturn and Saturnalia and the cult of Saturn. Yeah, I'm sure that all exists to some degree, because a lot of things exist. And I think what we're doing now is really understanding that cosmology is really what you make of it and how you engage with it. Even right now, just, what are there, 14 people in the chat, and whoever watches this video, a few hundred people. You guys have an understanding of space that's broader than the day before. And humankind, or mankind, species, whatever, perceives this kind of forward motion of time. So getting to know space is really kind of so fundamental to existence. It's partially why I feel like societies feel very lost when it comes to politics or art or anything really. There's a really difficult place for people to have critical thinking, because they don't know where they come from. We have a cosmology that makes you feel really lonely and orphaned. Looking for a track here. All right. Laura's talking a lot. What's happening in the chat room? Anyway, let me know what you think of what I just said. I'm gonna head on over to Jupiter, excuse me, and clear be right back. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's nice to see you in the chat. For another trip, man. Still goes. Keep going. What's up, David? Good to see you, my man. Awesome corresponding with you about telescopes. Love it. Hope you're doing well tonight. Jupiter's looking alright. Going in for the close-up first, and then we'll do the moon, the moon shot. I have pretty decent alignment going today. I did the 2-star alignment with Descuba and Shawala, and it's pretty steady. Looks like it's going to be clear, so I moved the scope a little bit lower on the steps. Gives me better, slightly larger field of view to do alignment. Both of those things. And I'm kind of missing the Great Red Storm, but I'm trying to check it here on Stellarium to see if it's coming or it's gone. Another amazing thing is that we're within kind of this magnetic tussle right now with the magnetosphere of Jupiter, Moon, and Saturn. And even last night, like, it was just an amazing sight. Even after I finished streaming, I just sat outside for a little while and saw Jupiter set with the Moon and Saturn. It was just so incredible to see that flank. I actually took a still capture with the wide shot with the fisheye. I'm gonna turn up the gain so we can see it. Jupiter with the moons. I gotta say it is Ganymede on the far left. Then we got Callisto. Shot tonight. Welcome everybody just joining. Hope you're doing great on this moon day. We're a day behind. We're a day away from full. Full in the Saturn. It's awesome that the weather cleared up tonight and hopefully tomorrow too. We'll do a late stream tomorrow. Maybe we'll start around this time again. Yeah, did it? Let's see. Did I get too low? Or maybe it's just too much music in the background. I'm working with this tricky setup, so thanks for letting me know. Yeah, that's all good. I feel you. Alright, so Ganymede, Callisto, Europa, Io, no Gray Red Storm, but we'll keep an eye on Jupes. Alright, awesome. Cactus Dance, and let's zoom in a bit more on Jupes. It's very possible that the GRS is about to grace us. It's peeking out on the left. Let's keep watch. This is the 3X Televue Barlow on the 8-inch. Typically we use it on I use it on the 11, but it's doing a pretty great job on the 8. It's very clear tonight, a little atmospheric, but relatively sharp. Again, Jupiter, nested fractal storms, incredible multi-spiral filamentary poles and auroras. Trying to figure out what's underneath it on the surface, if there is a surface. Yeah, that is the storm. So the tracking is good, but I feel the drift is a bit harsh with the 3X, so I'm going to try and keep it steady with the controller. Howdy, howdy, welcome. How you doing, Tupa Bear? What's up, Super Must See TV? How you doing? Nice to see you. I can see the GRS coming right around the bend. It's about 30 minutes till it's fully visible, but maybe like 5 minutes till y'all really can see it on the stream. I wonder if there may be a Jupiter wave with all the plasma shell interaction. To the moon and back. Yeah, what do y'all think? Should I do a quick excursion to the moon with this 3X, or just stick around with Jupiter and see the red spot come around? Hit me up in the chat, let me know. Have a little smoke. Oh, that's a really nice compliment. Eat all your fish says sound like Steely Dan. They're awesome. I'm very complicated to write like. I've been trying to expand my writing recently. Try to include some broader chord sets and different time signatures. I'm still not really there yet. I'm still kind of working my way through polymeters and sort of dabbling in time signatures, but it's so much easier when you do it all the time. You really get to a place where you can actually start writing that format. Alright, so I got 1 vote, 2 votes. What do y'all think? And as we wait, y'all can see it now. It's coming around. Alright, backing this one up, and I'm gonna take a quick race to the moon. light storm coming around the bend. Beautiful. I love having such a clear night to be able to just zoom in on things and they just look good. Still got that 3x going on. What's up there, Light Moon? What's up there, Tom? Good to see you both. Did I miss anybody in the chat? Who wants a shout out? What's the weather like where all are y'all at? And can you see the whole conjunction of the Moon and Saturn from where you're sitting right now? Let me know. What up, Jacob? Thanks, bro. If you're new, please ask questions. Check out the archives. Got a bunch of playlists. Been streaming for a lot of years, so it's mostly stuff like this. Just chill music, good peeps, and lots of real space footage. Alright. So I'm doing my best to keep this centered here. I don't know why it's doing this hardcore downward drift. I think it's maybe just when I added the 3x, the weight of the scope shifted, so the tracking got a bit thrown off. Just gotta deal with it. Great red storm coming around. Now pretty visible on the left corner. What up there, L Duff? What's up, Coffee Music? I say what's up, Tam? Tammy, good to see you. What's up, Jacob? Cool. Rounding out the first hour of the show. I think I got probably another hour to go, as long as the weather stays clear for us. Got my green juice. Trying to stay a little tox, a little detox. Sit with it for a few more minutes, and then I'll shift over and see if I can't get Saturn with the 3x. It's so strange with the latency in the microphone. When I say Saturn, it sounds like Saturn. Sound like I'm completely wasted. Saturn. No one's Saturn. But Saturn. It's kind of amazing what the 3x Barlow does. Just allows you to really just make these budget scopes something else. I would be remiss in not taking the opportunity to mention, check out Thunderbolt's project in the Electric Universe, and when Walt Thornhill, Donald Scott talk about Birkeland currents in the auroras around Jupiter, and how Jupiter is, has all these amazing theories that we could be talking about instead of being baffled time and time again. So Walt Thornhill has a talk from 2017 where he mentions that he finally got off the fence about mentioning that Jupiter and possibly all planetary bodies are hollow, since if they're grown along filamentary currents in space, then they would grow like a node or like a fruit on a vine, and at the core they'd have a seed, and then the outside would be kind of like a shell. And so imagine the pressure density from the central birth of Jupiter pushing all this matter outwards, this plasma, and then it meeting the kind of so-called vacuum of space, which is in and of itself like almost a repulsive force of the ether, and that kind of pushing against the matter coming outwards. And so you have basically the shell, a very thick shell of Jupiter caught between two intense magnetic fields, or plasma fields, or scalar fields. That's just a very commonplace understanding, or I think just still trying to formulate those theories, those ideas, and articulate them on late night streams like this. But in my mind, I kind of visualize it. It's not very hard to see this object and think that there's like a spherical type of pressure pushing outwards, and then a type of pressure from the dielectric medium around it pushing inwards, and thus holding these shapes. Same thing with Earth, but Earth is made out of different materials. The sun made out of different materials. Stars, which actually I'll go back to Antares. I forgot to mention that I did that cool little shot with Antares earlier, but you see the fractal cymatic patterns. Just the recursive fractals, nested fractals, all the way through space, and then microscopic views are the same way, and things we see in nature are the same way. And it's just very simple proof for the fact that there's this type of electrical fundamental nature of the universe, or verse, or whatever it may be. Or the 777 matrix cube. You're all sheep. Just joking. Man, David Icke really messed with some people's heads. Just thinking he was doing the right thing. Same thing with Alex Jones. It's crazy. It's so funny how Alex Jones is a thing now, and like I remember listening to him like break into Bohemian Grove like 20 years ago. Thinking like nobody knows about this guy, he's so brave. Now thinking like he's just completely co-opted by the system. It's interesting. ALS says in the early 1900s they still thought Mars and the moon had vegetation. What's up, more Jello, please? I love the idea that the moon would have forests underground, some sort of lichen or moss or some sort of mushroom growing on the moon. I'm sure there's water. It seems like there's water. I'm not sure. There's possibly water on the moon, but it looks like it to me. Feels like it. It's not real science. But, I don't know. I also think the moon could be hollow in that same sort of way. Maybe the moon was actually grown from a seed. And so the moon has some sort of core, and then it has this incredibly dense pressure medium, and then it has a really thick outer shell made out of the regolith and the highlands all the way around. And so like when it's hit, or when it's been plasma blasted, you kind of get this, like erosion pattern, this displacement. Mostly, and a lot of it looks like wind-blown terracing and stratification. Thank you, Andy Hall, for teaching me that word. Andrew Hall's stuff on Thunderbolts Project is fascinating about, vertical wind blasts and how you can see the fractal patterns. And of course, fractals kind of encompass cymatics and all these different, really it's so interesting how like at different levels, it's basically order, and you zoom out and it looks like chaos, and then you zoom out again and it looks like order, and then go on. And it feels like, I listened to something today, I always listen to Alan Watts, but every time I listen to it, I get something new out of it. And really what he was trying to say is that like, you can keep cutting the universe into tiny and tinier bits, and you keep looking further and further into space. And the universe, because it's your own mind, will keep getting larger and keep getting smaller in order to avoid being found out. And it just absolutely blows the mind and the entire like quest for the truth or the hunt for everything, when you know that really you're doing all of this. And so you're creating Jupiter, you're creating everything that you see and do. And you're also connected to everything in the universe, so that you are the same. Anyway, at least I like to think about it that way. Oh, and then since before I head to the moon, or as I'm heading to the moon, it's both sad and also so strange that the Indian ISRO rover mission got canceled almost 5624? Very particular number. Not sure what it means. It just feels strange that they stopped it an hour before launch. And they have no specific reason. I mean, at least not as far as I could hear in the interviews. But that's another moon mission canceled under strange circumstances. Not spooky or weird like that, just like, come on, like give us like a real reason. Or it's not like we deserve it, right? All right, great red storm. Nice to see ya. Let's head on over to the moon. be expected would be 8. Then a Chronos before we head over to the moon. Herodotus to the left, Schroeder's Valley, Valles Scroteri, the entire plateau. A little bit less, like the relief from last night was a little bit better, but that's because it was also later. So this will even get better. Yeah, Sony camera announcement. Cool. Alright. Do they tend to do that? Like announce and then... No, they announce and then it's like a couple of weeks before they put it in stores. There'll definitely be like a pre-order phase. What's up? What's all in the chat? Everyone doing good? I think the mosquitoes have gotten to me. Damn. So, pretty incredible. Zooming in here at Aristarchus crater, you can really see the side walls breaking out, looking very geometric. Dare I say hexagonal or octagonal even. You can kind of see clear stratification, again, of electrical patterning from whatever kind of way it was formed, whether it was tectonic or blast or impact. It still has this feature that is recursive in nature. Latin down, listening. And then one has to wonder, Herodotus, this kind of flat area to the left of Aristarchus crater, like how was that formed? You know, was there like a blast to the middle where it was pushing out ring matter? Or was there a depression underneath it? Or is it the two sides that were created? It's really interesting. And then you got the brightness right now that we're seeing. It's definitely not glinting because it's pretty high on the zenith. So it's got to be some form of what the... I mean, it's glowing. It really is. And you can kind of see a little of the striation of the glowing going downwards towards Herodotus, down the side of the mountain, what looks like a mountain. And then this snaking filament is really one of the smoking guns in terms of electrical cratering or electrical scarification of planetary objects, planets or objects or planetary objects. Or the moon, Ceres, Mars, these types of features that look like snaking canals. This was formed in one incident. And it's very long, and it kind of looks like it has a head and a tail. Definitely it has the shape of a snake. And of course the pareidolia makes it look like it's also a number. It looks like 3. But then when you really kind of zoom out a bit, it really does this interesting kind of right-angled, like sharp turn. If you follow it from the left to the top, you'll see it really hangs a hard right and another like zigzag and keeps going down and back around. So, and then for me, the other part of it is the entire whole like Aristarchus plateau. A crazy feature. lunar eclipse. I got lucky. I had friends helping me, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it. I had to put the scope outside the house in a really weird way, like halfway between the steps and the porch, and just like aim it behind the house. But man, it was crazy. And like seeing it in person too was like incredible. I feel like I'm crazy, but I'm pretty sure I streamed it too. I had a close-up view of it, so I didn't get the kind of wide shot, but I wasn't about to change the lens. Copernicus in view. Let's head on over to Kepler. Jupiter. Let's check out where the Great Red Storm has ended up. A little somewhere over the rainbow cover. Classic TBS. Did I get the meteor impact? No, I didn't. Like I literally checked all the footage that I had for that, and I was aimed at the bottom half during that. I even have footage during that, and it literally was right underneath where it happened. Sucks, but I know I saw yours like. Yeah, with all the crazy crap I've gotten, I really don't think I've ever gotten like a flash on the moon. So that would be really nice. Alright, back to the moon. Added the focal reducer. Let's get some wide footage. I know it feels kind of sleepy, but the views are too good to go to bed. So I'm going to keep going. Hope y'all are still with me. We got 12:53 a.m. Always a good time to have a cig. Yeah, so moon's 99.5 right now, really close to full. Saturn was moved up a little bit. It's at the 10 o'clock position. Let me see if I can just get it in frame. Are alive out there. Feels like the world ended. Anyway, got Saturn basking in the light of the moon. An on the nose song for an on the nose moment. But it's really cool to see Saturn with Titan and its moons. And then right over here we got the moon brain is tough. Glad to see. Yeah, intense planetary vibes right now. So I ran all the way around to the other side of the moon. I want to let it drift into scene. Enter stage left. Alright, what's up, Mistaken Mystery? Nice to see you. What's up, Copper? The heat is coming through for sure. Mixing and matching moons and planets is something that is a rare thing. Quite the night to experience in clarity. Fuzzy clarity. Where's Vision? Where's Mary? Let's see if Miguel shows up. What up, everybody? How y'all feeling? What's up, Norwegian Flavor? Welcome. Just chilling, playing games. I feel ya. Watching TV. This track and the last one are both like two of the first tracks I wrote for TakeBackSpace. It's just like, what's the vibe of this? What am I gonna do? That sharp edge to the right of Mare Crisium, 3 o'clock position, Mare Undarum. Look how sharp the angle is coming down off of Proclus into Oceanus. No, what's that? It's Mare Fecunditatis. Actually, I can put the label on it. That's pretty sweet. Set on the moon. Let me lower this a little bit. Yeah, so first you learn about all the big features: Tycho Crater, Sea of Serenity, Sea of Tranquility, Mare Crisium, and then that kind of second layer is like learning about all these little extra Mare. So Mare Undarum, and about to label Mare Marginis. So those two regions look kind of, you see more of them during libration periods where the moon tilts. And so you can also see a much sharper edge right around Mare Marginis, where typically, or actually we'll try and take a look at it when, that's where the Terminator starts to appear on the wane. So it just sank into my mind. This. Yeah, so I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't done a wax and gibbous in a while. But anyway, looks pretty great, pretty sharp. Playing tunes. Let's do a zoomed in shot right there so I can double down on these two regions. Lunar Geology 102. I know everybody's like, going to bed. I'm going to keep going, y'all, but tunes coming up. What's bedtime but groovy? Groovy bedtime. Everybody can rest if they need to. But I was gonna say, I was talking all that crap about cool features and I wasn't even in focus. Sorry, y'all. Adjusted that focus, you can see that sharpness. So this region is a little bit tough to see. I'm going to try and do some contrast work on it. So this is a Mare that's also kind of next level. You got, I want to say it's Mare Smithy. I'm going to label that so you can see it. I've mentioned it before, but it's really tough to see, you can tell. Look at it, man. Alright, let's see if I can spell this. Smithy. Alright, so that's Mare Smithy. And let's find another region right above it. Dorsum Cluse. Say it's like the most fun video game I've played. Lunar geology. Dorsum Cluse. It's like this interactive. God damn it! Mosquitoes. Opposition forces. So I feel like Hirayama is a Japanese origin, and Yama I think is mountain. I'm not sure what Hirayama is. But this is a trifecta of regions. Of course there are more, but that's a quick Mare Smythe, Dorsum Plus, and Hirayama region. This is right underneath Mare Crisium for reference. Let's keep going down to this lunar edge. Alright, what comes up next? We got, after Hirayama, we got so many names. Alright, this darkened region is Kies and Helmert. I'm just going to name a few as we go along. Krieken, Brunner. There's this little crater rim over here. Let me see if I can isolate it. Alright, so you'll see two really prominent bright points. And I'm going to try and find those for reference. Alright, so the right white point, underneath it there's like a rimmed elliptical crater. That is Kastner. Yeah, that's Langrenus. To the right of that, there's Barclay. Alright, so let me try this from Langrenus. Having trouble like matching the atlas a little bit. Hard to decipher some of these. They look really sharp on the atlas, but on the actual moon surface, it's a bit tough. Yeah, that's roughly correct with La Perouse. But Barlow is the bright white one, and Langrenus is the large one to the top that looks like a diamond hexagon. I think La Perouse is correct. It's this elliptical one underneath the second bright white spot. That's La Perouse. So I think, yeah, that looks right. Sorry, fumbling around. It's a little bit tricky. God damn. Shoulders. Coming in lines through my face. All that matters. Right, I'm going to stretch the legs, y'all. I'll be back in a moment. I see the chat room still full, but no one's chatting. Hope y'all enjoying everything. Just doing this little tour, but I haven't forgotten about Saturn and Jeeps. I want to do this one. Let's see. Old tracks. What about... too. It's 1:23 a.m. Grooving with the moon and the planets. I'm getting a little sleepy, but I still got some scoping in me. Go for a little bit longer. We're 2 hours in. Show number 600 and some odd. Mr. Skunk, what's happening? Welcome, brother. Yeah, I feel you. You know me, I just gotta go when there are good planets. Good planets. When there are good views of planets and clear skies, I'm gonna stay up no matter what. Drink my carrot juice. I tried to plug in the guitar, but it doesn't work with the mic, so one or the other for now. What up, Astro Live? Sore shoulders, everything is all right. Yeah, Saturn being this close to the moon is not going to happen for a while, at least. I thought I remembered that. And we should check in on Jupiter, which I'm about to do. Because it looks like it's about to set. A little instrumental queued up. I can't speak English no more. One. The color coming through on Tranquility, amazing. Always dig that deep blue, purple. Clear filamentary structure coming off of Copernicus. Kepler, Aristarchus, also great views tonight. One more quick shot of Aristarchus. I think the idea that Earth actually grows people is the most logical. I don't think we're separate from Earth. That's the truth. For me, rather. But it would be interesting, like if we were just some sort of moss that just grew on like this planet. Little bacteria grew on us. That would make the most sense to me. What up, Vision? Glad you made it. We're about to go all fuzzy clarity up in here. I'll say cough, cough, cough. Cactus, cough. Cough, cough, cactus. Cactus, cough, cactus, cough. Practice, cough. Do you think human beings are all parasites? Have you listened to too many pop scientists drill that concept? That's one of those sticking points for me. You can look at it both ways and be right. I'm curious, actually, without being patronizing in any way. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like you're disconnected from Earth, that somehow when you walk around you really have nothing to do with Earth and like you're separate from it and you can destroy it and save it? Physically? Do you feel that? Because I don't feel that anymore. I feel that we're sort of magnetized to this crazy, like, hollow plasma orb, and we grow out of it like fractals, and then our arms and fingers grow out of our bodies as fractals, and then on our fingers there's tiny bacteria and they grow out as fractals. I don't think personally that, like, this whole idea that mankind sucks, it's just a way to keep people disempowered. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. You're bringing up very, very particular sentences and phrases, and I'm not trying to get all heady. Actually, I'm fine getting heady. I don't need to qualify everything I say. Only a matter of time before she shakes us off like bees on a honey badger. There's so much going on in that, where, and I'm not trying to like pinpoint you particularly, Mr. Skunk, but you're providing me with these phrases that I wanted to talk about. So it's pretty poignant. Like, where do you think we got that kind of mentality about humankind? Do you hate yourself and people you know? And everybody you meet, do they all suck? Because I think in my life, even though I've met really sucky people, that the majority of people I've met are actually pretty kind and accepting and respectful of one another. And so I feel like that mentality is really just pushed in the media, in Hollywood and books and songs and people. And not a lot, you know, it doesn't all have to be conspiratorial. It's just like people copy each other and they propagate these myths that somehow we're separate from Earth. Mostly because it's like these arbitrary labels, like people perceive things that are beautiful differently, and people perceive ugliness differently. It's the same with music. It's a simple example of when you're a teenager, you don't really get avant-garde jazz and prog and Afrobeat and dad rock, and then you hit 40 and you understand all of it, and you're like, damn, I didn't get that at 20. That's all it really is. Like, mankind is just a much larger, or humankind is just a much larger cosm of that. Where like what's the point of hating on one another and all of mankind all the time? Because that really just gets nowhere, except you keep propagating self-defeat. One keeps propagating defeat. Let me see what's going on in the chat. I feel like this microphone just keeps slipping away. Or I'm just yelling at it. Astrolive says, all in the universe, life could be seen as parasites to its mother planets. But even like the idea of the concept of mother or matter and parasites too. Parasites is like, it's a loaded word at this point. You have to understand the value of words. You don't have to understand. I suggest, and I, in my life, consider words that words have value. And I think saying things like the human race is a parasite is just really defeatist. Even if it's true, it's just it implies that somehow everybody sweepingly, generally, is pretty shitty at the core, when I don't think you really believe that, or one really believes that. I certainly don't, and I used to use cliches like that all the time. And now that I don't use those cliches, I notice how loaded those phrases are. And it happens in everything. It happens in science, politics, whatever. But I talk about it simply within the context of earth sciences, holistic sciences, astronomy, lunar geology. Just like the phrases have been given to us by certain people who want to sell a certain type of product. But to really understand things, you have to understand what they're selling and then also reinterpret it. Parasite's definitely not the right adjective, but people keep repeating that same sort of phrase because that phrase becomes powerful when it's repeated. And if Hollywood or the media wants to repeat a phrase or create that phrase, it's very easy nowadays. I didn't even mean to rhyme. But I'm not kidding, like, all these campaigns, they do it for food, it's done for iPhones, it's done for every type of product. It's the same with science. But people are somehow too afraid to move past. See, I'm doing it right now. People are too afraid. How do I know? The people that I know don't even talk about these things, really. So it's that kind of thing of catching yourself before you simply generalize, because words do create reality. Yo, what up, Smooth McGee? Words create white turtle doves, white doves too. Let's see, Rodrigo Nino, what's happening? Just got here. Where's Saturn? Isn't the moon supposed to eclipse the planet? No, it's just traveling with the moon tonight, and Saturn is to the top left. I'll go there right now, actually. Good segue. so saying that you're saying, let's see, where is it? Astrolive, I mean it as an abstract thought as seen through Mother Nature's eyes. Like, who is Mother Nature? Is it a person? Is it a concept? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really dissect the actual phrases that you use in a very loose way, all the cliches and tropes and things that you repeat or that you hear and you feel, or that you grow up with, and then we tend to repeat them without thinking about what they actually mean. So, like, who is Mother Nature, and why do you know this person and what she'll say or what she'll do or where she lives? You see like an Earth graphic with eyeballs, or like do you see like a nested psychedelic painting with a woman and with Earth colors? You know what I mean? Think about the visual that you get when you think about these concepts, and like who planted that visual for you. Gaia, Yahweh, exactly. Like these names, where did you find those names? Who told you about them? Like, what book? Did you come of that information by yourself? Do you have reference material to that information, or are those words just really like spooky? I'll quote George Carlin. He said this perfectly back like in the 90s. He's like, spooky language. That's how you fool all the common folk. Spooky language. And it's true. Like, once you get over the spooky language, like parasites of Earth, and we're killing the planet, and we'll save Earth. We've got to leave the planet. Let's get off planet. Let's terraform Mars. I swear, like, I'm channeling, I'm not even on the level, but you know what I'm saying? It would be like a rant that Carlin would do, talking about how ridiculous it seems like we have some sort of effect on the planet, that we can really control the planet's future. And I think it's kind of ridiculous. If anything's ridiculous. What's it? Rodrigo Nino says Pachamama equals Mother Earth. You know, isn't it interesting? What do you guys think, or gals think, and people think? Is Mother Earth a person? Cosmic being? Can you see her? Sure, Astrolive. I think speaking metaphorically or philosophically about a topic is fine, but I think words actually do matter. And let's say you don't consider parasite negative, a bunch of people do, and so you're holding back this kind of, you're implying this negativity to concepts regularly. We are, you know, this idea that we do, the implied blame of all man, like we are putting space junk, and we're a warlike nation, and any number of tropes like that, you know? Says she's a living entity. How is that different than imagining any type of deity? That's true. Says it's thing or concept, but as human, we try to humanize things like a human. Kind of like sharks with remoras. Kind of don't know what that reference to sharks with remoras is. That's an interesting thing, which I will look up. But Rodrigo says, some like to think that all matter is alive, albeit in some way or another. Yeah, we got a little bit of Jupiter in view. I got the focal reducer, so it's the wide shot. Top left, Ganymede, Callisto, Europa. Bottom right, Io. What was I looking up? Sharks with remoras. Oh, right. Got it. Like a symbiotic relationship. But I don't know, not to belabor the point, but that kind of doesn't answer my question. It's more about, like, when you use justifications like Mother Earth will eradicate the human race because she's had enough of us. That's a visual that is implied. And it actually demoralizes people. And some people are not demoralized by it, but a lot of people are. That's my opinion. I don't have to be right, but I think the words matter and phrases matter. Things like, oh, we're a parasite on the planet Earth and aliens wouldn't want to come and visit us because we all suck. I don't think like you have to really say those things, actually. But you can keep saying them if you want to. But this is TakeBackSpace, not fade away into space. I don't know, that wasn't really clever, but it doesn't matter. It just matters that I'm trying to keep a positive outlook because existing is fucking hard. See where when you say parasites, a lot of people are triggered by that and they think little bugs and they think eating flesh, like not really good stuff. And you talk about that stuff in terms of science, and there's a demoralizing feeling. Yeah, there's a type of negativity in scientific debate where let me see, Cameron Paul says, we are eternal. All this pain is an illusion. Well, yo, peace, man. Tom Buddha says, I'm thinking along those lines, Rodrigo. Which lines? Like, all matter is alive, albeit in some way or another. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a valid line of thinking, especially within the context of everything being interconnected via these filamentary currents. You get this reality that is basically kind of an entire entity made up of tiny little entities. So I just mean like putting labels on something like Mother Earth seem to me like antiquated concepts that control the way people think. And I'm trying to stop using that language. Z-Proxy, my man, what's happening? I saw you there, I was just trying to finish a thought. Yo, Mr. Skunk, not trying to start anything, my man. You were spamming the chat, and I timed you out, and please respect the chat room. That's all I ask. And don't sling accusations in here. Look through my archives and then retract your comment. Z-Proxy, you got any footage tonight? Yeah, man, I'm a little thrown off track by Mr. Skunk. I don't understand like why I feel like you're prodding me, bro. There's no argument here, just all chill. Eclipse on the 24th. No, I don't have the view down here, my man. Z-Prox. It's not gonna happen. But I'm gonna try and stream the full moon tomorrow, as long as the weather stays like this, it'll be dope. So, I'll just keep going on that tip about like talking within philosophical science. I think the way people talk to one another about conspiracies, about real science, this is sort of where the awakening that people think about should be sort of happening. And that's just my opinion. It's just a politeness, articulation, granularity of concepts, augmentation of concepts, working together things where, you know, we can move past the scientists of the past, and we can move past Einstein for once without arguing and calling each other names. And even if Einstein holds up forever, there still has to be stuff that we can discover past that. You know? And then I thought about it today. I mentioned it earlier on the show that Alan Watts said something that really stuck with me, is probably going to stick with me, which is the fact that reality is really there to experience, not to solve. So there really are no problems. And in a way, it's almost like problems always rear their head in order to keep the machine going. I don't know, it makes you think about really calming down about this whole idea of saving the planet or saving anything. I mean, Astrolive or anybody in the chat, you hear these ideas about we're leaving planet Earth because it's being destroyed, or we're going to destroy it because mankind sucks, and we're going to go to Mars and we're going to terraform it and somehow propagate the human race because ? And how also ? But what do you think of a concept like that, and why do you think we have a concept like that as a human race? And why is it even appealing? Why is it even an option? Instead of the first option being, you know, enjoying living on Earth. So that to me is one of these things that I've seen over and over again in movies and songs, and people talk to one another. You listen in, and talk show hosts, mostly it's like really people listen to talk radio. And talk radio propagates these ideas, and like New Age people, astrology, and they're all within their right to propagate whatever information they want. But when you think about it, contextually, we don't get any further in terms of this type of science that we need to get through. Maybe it just takes a long time. I should just have fun. Vision says, like life is about the journey, we all know the end result. That's true. That's true. Death is the great equalizer. Astrolive says, we colonize to start new nations. But have you personally colonized to start a new nation, and why do you want a new nation? Is the one that you have not enough? I mean, I'm asking these very absurdist questions, but like really it's that kind of questioning that we have to think about when it comes to our language, because we've just been inbred, and these concepts just get repeated at us by corrupt media. That's the simplest way to put it. And it's corrupt simply because they're selling you a product and then telling you it's news. And some people are fooled by that. If they just said, I'm selling you a fake, I mean, they do, in fact, in their contracts, in their fine print, the media says it's entertainment. So they get away with all the shit. But man, does the media actually control how people behave? 100%. And they have their claws in half, if not 75% of YouTube. All right, Astrolive is telling me this. We need to go to new places. Leave the nest. Okay, that's a good reason. Cameron Paul 2012 changes the topic to, but did anyone ever figure out what that was that crossed the sun twice, right around the time that observatory was shut down? So, I don't know, Cameron, if you follow Suspicious Observers, Ben Davidson and stuff, but he's as close to earthquake prediction and catastrophe prediction as humanly possible, I think, and as timely, because he does every day. So I would recommend Suspicious Observers if you think that the world is going to end soon and you want to know. I would try that channel. Super must see. What do I think will happen when the universe stops expanding? Do I believe the theory that it starts to contract until all matter in the universe collapses? So I think it took me a few years to really get off the fence of relativity and understand what plasma cosmology had to offer, and it makes a lot more sense that we don't know the age of the universe, and that the cosmic inflation and cosmic background radiation are things that can be explained in a different way. So you don't really need the event like the Big Bang. The Big Bang actually defies the fundamental laws of physics, as in it's an unobservable event, and it's actually, at least general relativity is pretty, I want to say either general relativity or special relativity is pretty wrong at its core. And somehow we keep coming up with these experiments and giving Nobel Prizes away to LIGO and doing Large Hadron Collider smashing particles and then labeling all these echoes of particles that you can't really see. And so science really explained through plasma cosmology makes a lot more sense, where stars and planets are grown along filaments. The universe is moving, but it's not expanding or contracting. And we don't know if there was a Big Bang or a start to it yet, or how old it is. It also makes sense that planets and moons and Earths and everything can interact with one another, but they don't actually smash into one another. They actually just interact electrically. Yo, peace out, Astro Live. Yeah, that was a little rant on how I kind of view a larger piece of the universe, or at least space around us. Cameron says, it's been a few months, but it still bothers me why no one's talking about it. Well, because the simple answer is that events like that are usually due to funding, mostly, and something to do with money, political moves, and a lot of the times it's sometimes to incite reactions from, I guess, the populace, really, to America or whatever country is doing events like that. In Europe, they do different things. And so the whole ufology thing is about testing populations' reactions to stories. And so they'll pick a little town and they'll plant a story there and shut down something. And they'll have 2 or 3 stories on some of the sub outlets of the major media core. And they'll get people excited about it, and then they'll test how many people are still interested in UFO stories. And then from that data, they'll put those UFO stories on Huffington Post. And then they'll use those stories to get other data that they'll use for the next Star Trek movie or Guardians. And that's how it keeps working. And people keep watching movies, and they're like, that's my guilty pleasure, but I'll watch it. And they're like, no, I don't think MSNBC is telling the truth, but it's the news. You know, how will I know what the news is if I don't watch it? It's all these excuses to keep watching and keep cultivating corporations that sell you things. So people have a strange perception, I think. I don't know, I'm sorry I'm drifting off sentences because I see people in the chat coming off. Astro Live, thanks for the discussion, my man. Hope I didn't go too far off the deep end for you, let me know. Z-Proxy, oh, I did capture a very light dual lunar wave the other day, yeah? Double wave. Hard to see without staring, but it's there. Slow it down, man. Slow-mo in Premiere. Man, it's 2:05, going on almost 3 hours here. Thanks for sticking it out, space fans. Anyway, so Cameron Paul, so they'll do that thing where there's a solar flare story, and then there's a shutdown of a solar observatory, and then it's never followed up or talked about ever again. Like, if the media were if it was either a real story or the media was honest, that would be a follow-up where you'd figure out like where it is now would be talked about until the story thread closed. But if they can't, then there's no reason to bring up a story like that in the first place. So it's one of those things that it really reeks of propaganda. Speaking of which, I haven't watched it in full, but Crow 777 did a lunar wave discussion roundtable with Jay Widener. They used the Jupiter wave clip, and I don't have the link on me right now, and I'm too lazy to move. I'm getting tired over here. But yeah, check out Crow 777 lunar wave discussion if anyone's interested in where that particular topic is at. For me, I think it's the plasma double sheath or some testing here on Earth. It's certainly not a lunar hologram. No way, no how. And I don't think it's on the moon. And I don't think it's airplane trails, because they really have a keen eye for that, and I could be wrong, but I don't feel like it is. What up there, Gloria? Nice to see ya. Vision. It wasn't news, it was science. Sorry, I'm not. What is that reference to? Alright, so Jupiter's getting some fringing, which means it is setting. Sparkly. And the moons have remained in a consistent formation. I thought they would have actually done a little bit of a dance at this point, but nope. Lunar wave seems to come in twos, and it's just that fine line of it. That's what's so different about it. It's just it's like precision. And yes, it has like a sweeping motion. And it's so funny how it like looks exactly the same on the Jupiter wave. Alright, I'm gonna head back to the moon for a bit and start winding it down, y'all. Getting a little bit tired. I was referencing it. Yeah, like the first story maybe was a science story, but I'm sure I saw it on some seedy networks. Anyway, why not follow up on a story like that 2 months later? Actually, it feels like much longer. Was it only 2 months? In either case, there are full-time cameras on the sun right now, and Ben Davidson on Suspicious Observers does really great analysis of daily sun activity from the perspective of plasma cosmology and from the perspective of catastrophism and preparedness. So it's kind of a one-stop shop, I dare say. But really, you could also get a solar telescope and watch the sun every day and see where the solar activity is happening, and then kind of relate that to a electroseismometer and kind of figure out your own doomsday predictor. Because that's what it's about, right? Figuring out when we're all gonna die. And the moon is really beautiful. I know maybe it sounds like I want too much, but just saying things like we are all energy from the same source, I think I still yearn to kind of see what's beyond that. Although that's a beautiful sentiment at the same time, but I've kind of had that sentiment for 20 years, and I feel like maybe it's time to see, like, well, can I actually meditate on a point in space and connect with that in a different way? So that's where I'm getting at. Look at this sharpness at the very 3-4 o'clock position past Lengrenus. Again, that region I was showing earlier. I've already forgotten what it was called. No, Mari Smythe, and something Cluse, Dorsia Cluse. Or like We Never Die. I think that too, to some degree, but I feel like dying might just be a really interesting experience. And we just treat it as this extremely negative experience and try and make any excuse or any type of mental gymnastic, linguistic kind of stumbling towards figuring out how to avoid talking about it or thinking about it. But when you look at the moon, it just all kind of makes sense. Total non sequitur. But just implies that be here now and enjoy the view. Shut the F up and play music. Get 2 more bits of time. Alright, let's find something fun to close the show out with. Yeah, so I was talking about it on a recent show. Our magnetic bubbles collapse and we turn into a singular node of energy and dissipate into the dielectric medium, returning to source. But what that actually feels like in terms of the experience that we have now is what I yearn and think about constantly. I yearn to know, even though I know I can't know. But this is as close to an answer as I've found. It's strange that I'm sharing it with the whole world, or a small world connected to the internet right now. Let's flip it for the edge and I'll stretch the legs. Top tails gotta bow downstairs. I'm 7 times gonna make room up there. Top tails gotta roll downstairs. 7 times gonna make room up there. Casinos on you downstairs. The casino, the casino, the casino, the casino.
points, now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. The nearest calling, a souvenir, a soul's rescue. I hope you may. Netflixing the phone, mixing your liquids, now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. The nearest calling, a souvenir, a soul's rescue. I hope you may. Netflixing the phone, mixing your liquids, now you're left for dead. Just pay your debts. Formidable opponent, angry crackpot. Formidable opponent, dangerous lecture. Formidable opponent, you can walk out. Formidable opponent, take you have the choice. Formidable opponent, angry crackpot. Formidable opponent, dangerous lecture. Formidable opponent, you can walk out. Formidable opponent, take you have the choice. But don't look back, don't look back, 'cause everything. Follow me home, you're ready to see. But don't look back, 'cause everything. Follow me home, you're ready to see. But don't look back, 'cause everything. Follow me home, you're ready to see. But don't look back, 'cause everything. Follow me home, you're ready to see. But don't look back, 'cause it could be everything. Follow me home, you're ready to see. Just don't look back, don't look back. Follow me home, you're ready to see. But don't look back, 'cause it could be everything. So follow me, you're ready to see.
Yo, should be back. Hacks. So many hackses. Because it's such a dope stream tonight. Super clear. Good vibes. I'm gonna get some hiccups, you know it, just to balance it all out. Anyway, I was trying to label all these features and I realized I bit off way more than I could chew. I'm like checking features, trying to type shit. It'll take me all night. Let's just enjoy the last few shots of the moon here. I think Jupiter is done for the night. We got the red storm. We got cool lunar configuration. Nice close-ups. Fantasy ecstasy, what's going on, brother? I think I said hello earlier, but maybe I didn't. Hey, or that's when it cut out. So, what up? Yeah, I know it just went out, like completely nuts. Lost most of y'all. I'll see if everyone comes back for a sec.
song. Find its way into the hard drive stone. Bring the wine, tally the time until the twilight's gone. You're where there's and just with like cool jizz, just with cool chicks. Their minds separate television, lips, something on the outside. Separation, sin, wild, sliding down the right.
Tail Fantasy. Yeah, not getting the eclipse here. No visibility for me, and I think it's tomorrow actually. But yeah, not going to be able to get it. It's all good. Look at the crazy detail under the surface of tranquility and fecunditatis. Yeah, it's pretty much full. I mean, 99.6 now, I think. Crispy edge, super crisp. Love it. See if something flies by. That would cap off tonight. Lunar transit, make it happen. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Transit, come on, say I can't complain with this detail fantasy, but I agree. I like the waning crescent the most. But this phase, when it's sharp, it's kind of hard to beat. Just see everything. Look, the colors hold up. Frequencies melting my face over here. Views are too good, but I gotta go. Have a wonderful day tomorrow, everybody. Thanks for hanging out.
Politics, your election talk. Tell me what the narrative. Tell me when to get off. Sick of if you wanna live. Killers on holiday. You never know what's in the skies today. Oh, what's in the air? No nothing you can see. No nothing you can be. What's in the air today?
checked in on the planets, put them to bed. Back at the moon for the final song. Thanks everybody. Vision, take care. Fantasy, Veronica, welcome. Rain Song, great to see ya. Garabalta, saludos a todos. Just wrapping it up over here, but please join me on another stream in the future. Peace out. Light Moon, take care. Be well. Z Proxy, stay wise. Ellie Wynn, if you're still up, or to catch it tomorrow, good night. Mary, wherever you are. Miguel, to Oksana. Astro Live, thanks for the discussion. Cameron, to Rodrigo, and everybody who joined earlier. Take care, everybody. Have a great day tomorrow. And we'll see you for the full moon.